Good screening doesn't always lead to good tenants. Have you ever had a tenant that looked perfect on paper, then turned out to be an issue once they moved in? We sure have. You see, we manage a few properties in a community for people over 55. We're filling a vacancy and a screening for prospective tenants. As a property management company, we screen a large number of tenants. Our track record on placing responsible tenants was 100%. We had several tenants apply, and there was one that stood out above and beyond the rest. The tenant had high credit score, reserves in the bank, and a decent retirement income. There should be no issues covering the rent and utilities. The only red flag, the tenant did not have a previous rental history, as they had just sold their home. That didn't worry us too much, since they had always paid their mortgage on time. Everything looked good to move forward. When the tenant moved in, they paid their security deposit, prorated rent for that month, and the first full months of rent. It was a great experience. They were really nice. They did ask if they could pay their rent on the 15th of each month, and we made it clear that it had to be the 15th before the 1st, not after. And they agreed to this. They thought it sounded reasonable. And then things started to go downhill from there. A week after the tenant moved in, they asked for us to repaint the living room a different color. They didn't like white. No, this is a rental. We do not repaint for a color change. Sorry. Then they asked for the dishwasher to be upgraded because it was too loud. I understand. They're not used to renting. The tenant is used to owning their own home and have the upgraded appliances. But no. On the 15th, we confirmed with the tenant regarding their rent payment and had to explain again it was due on the 15th before the 1st, not after. The tenant agreed to pay on the 1st, but missed that due date. We contacted them again, and they promised to pay on the 15th, although we were going to charge them a late fee. The tenant agreed to pay on the 15th of this month, and then on the 1st the next month. Then they paid on the 15th as promised, but did not on the 1st. That was another late charge and a 3-day notice. We also made a call to our attorney asking for his suggestion, which was to wait till the 15th and see if the tenant paid. Then there was no payment on that 15th either. On top of that, we now received a notice that the electricity and water weren't being paid. We had to sit down and have a heart-to-heart with the tenant, who shared their struggles with bill payments since their partner had passed away, hence the reason why they had sold their home. We discussed moving in with their children as a solution, and they agreed. The tenant moved out smoothly a week later, and their children helped, and they left the home in excellent condition. The security deposit covered the rent and utilities, and all ended up well. This is an example where screening is such an important part of the rental process, although is not perfect. It is also crucial to know that a good security deposit is important. Although this tenant looked good on paper and meant well, they just were not able to handle living on their own. As a property manager, whether you own the property or a management company like us, you do not know what is happening with your prospective tenant's life when they're applying to rent the property. It is a time to shine when things are not going as planned. Keep a level head and try to find a win-win solution. Landlords and property managers need to have clear policies and procedures in place for handling late rent payments, non-payment of utilities, and other issues that may arise. It's also important to comply with fair housing laws and avoid discriminatory practices when selecting your tenants. In some cases, it may be necessary to evict a tenant who is consistently causing problems or not paying the rent. This can be a difficult and costly process. Sometimes it is the only option to protect the property and the landlord's interest. Overall, being a landlord property manager requires a lot of patience, flexibility, and good judgment to handle the many challenges that can arise. Luckily, in this case, everything turned out for the best. The owner was made complete, the property was rented out quickly, and the tenant is living with their children, no longer overwhelmed by paying bills. Having a level head and a discussion can normally make the problem go away. Please let me know if there's any topics you would like us to cover in the future. Like, subscribe, and comment. See you next time.